Okay, I want to show you a little bit more about local and form level variables and the difference between those two. Okay, so I'm going to use this simple application. I have one label called label count and a button called button increment. The idea is when I click the button, I'm going to increment a numerical value that I display in the label. So I'll go ahead and double click on my button and get my click event procedure, and I'll declare a variable. I'm going to keep it simple and just declare it as x as an integer, and we'll say each time. Now when you declare a variable in Visual Basic, it does automatically initialize it to 0, and then I'm going to put a count value in here, x equals x plus 1 more. Okay, so it's going to take the old value of x, add 1, and reassign that to x. Okay, and then last but not least, I need to display that on the screen. So I'm going to take my label count dot text and set that equal to x, and I'm going to let it implicitly convert that for me. Okay, let's try that and run it. And what we'd expect the first time we click the button is it's going to be 0, add 1 to it, so it should display 1. Okay, the next time we click the button, we might expect it to go to 2, but we can click it as many times as we want, it stays at 1. Okay, that kind of shows you a little bit about local variables. Because it was declared within this procedure, and it's a local variable, its lifetime is that of the procedure. So when I click the button, this procedure runs, the variable is declared, the memory is taken up, the space is taken up in memory. When we hit the end sub, we don't need x anymore. Okay, so it deallocates that space in RAM, and it's free again. So the next time we click the button, it's a whole new x variable. So we don't retain the value. If we wanted to do that, one choice is to move that code up here. We can keep it that way with DIM for backward compatibility, but starting with .NET, we like to declare form level variables private. Okay, and so we'll do private x as integer. Now this is form level, and so there's two things that'll happen there. One, we can see the value of x. If we have another button with another procedure, we would be able to see x in that procedure. Also, the lifetime of a form level variable becomes that of the form. So it should continue to exist even after the first click. Okay, so with the form level variable, we can retain that value, and as we click, it will add 1 each time. Okay, while we're on the subject of counters, we can also do a shortcut notation here. So we can actually say what? Plus equal 1. Okay, which just means what? Take x, do the first operator, add 1. Second operator is an assignment, so assign that to 1. So it's the equivalent statement. X equals x plus 1. Same thing, x plus equal 1. It's just a shorter notation. Okay. There's one other thing I can show you with variable declaration. Although dim is allowed up here, private is not allowed locally. But there is one more kind of intermediate variable we can use called a static variable. A static is local, but by saying static, we want it to remain fixed. In other words, when the procedure ends, keep its value. Don't destroy it just because the procedure ended. Okay, and so it's still a local variable in scope. And what that means is if I create another procedure and I try to refer to x, I'm going to have a hard time doing that because it doesn't exist as far as the program's concerned outside that procedure. So even if I put this statement here, it's going to say, hey, you got a problem, you didn't declare that. Okay, and what happened is I declared it locally here. So either with static or dim, within a procedure, I have a local variable. So this is invalid. This procedure cannot see the local variables inside this procedure. If I move it back to the top and use private, it can see it now. Okay, so this is valid, and these actually two are the same variable pointing to the same location. Now I happen to click on the form here and notice it created the form load procedure. So when the form loads, it's going to increment the value once. If I want that to be displayed, I also need to copy that code. And so by just loading the form and having it run, it's already incremented to 1. If I click it again, now it's running inside this procedure, incrementing to 2. So form level variables we can share and see across different procedures within the same form.